They had trophies in mind, but couldn't pull it off. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down the top 10 failed Oscar bait movies of 2017. Before we begin, we publish new videos every day, so be sure to subscribe for more great content. For this list, we're looking at movies that seemed like they were created with the Academy Awards in mind, but weren't up to the standard. Number 10. Hostiles.
I've killed savages, because that's my job.
A gritty western featuring high-caliber actors and an unflinching plot that addresses the search for humanity in the face of horrific acts of violence. Sounds to us like something that should make it rain golden statues. Unfortunately, this just wasn't the case. While an overall decent film, with both Christian Bale and Rosamund Pike delivering powerhouse performances, critics were divided and couldn't seem to make their mind up about Hostiles. In the end, many were left feeling that the film didn't excel in the areas it meant to, and the whole project just slipped under the Oscar radar. Number 9. Goodbye Christopher Robin.
The creatures in the story are toys. They're toys, but the woods are real.
A World War II period drama based on the beloved children's author A.A. Milne sounds exactly like the kind of movie that would have won an Oscar 20 years ago, heck, even 5 years ago. Added to the film's prestige is that up-and-coming A-listers Domhnall Gleeson and Margot Robbie star in the awards vehicle.
Life is full of frightful things. The great thing is to find something to be happy about.
But despite the fact that the movie tells the story of the creation of Winnie the Pooh, as well as depicts the psychological toll of war, the movie just seemed completely middle-brow, neither here nor there in terms of its identity.
Did you get it?
Sorry. Number 8. Breathe.
What are we waiting for?
We're not sure if anyone in the Academy even heard of this film, let alone saw it. The directorial debut of the beloved character actor Andy Serkis, Breathe is based on the true-life story of Robin Cavendish, a man who was paralyzed at age 28 and became an advocate for the disabled. With a strong cast including Andrew Garfield and Golden Globe-winning Claire Foy, the movie is exactly in the same vein as past winners, but it seems like a traditional, well-told story might not have been enough to catch the voters' attention in a year where more unconventional movies made a splash.
There must be something I can do to make things more bearable.
Get me out of here.
Number 7. The Book of Henry.
Henry and Peter, they're lucky to have you.
Spielberg-approved director Colin Trevorrow has already made a name for himself with big-budget movies, but many thought this would be a chance to see what a smaller, awards-friendly movie would look like from him. But it didn't quite work out. Despite the casting of Naomi Watts, as well as Jacob Tremblay, who made a name for himself in 2015's Oscar-winning Room, critics absolutely hated this movie for its nonsensical plot and uneven tone.
Just wasn't our business. I think when someone hurts someone else, I think it is our business.
It bombed at the box office and received a very low score on Rotten Tomatoes, effectively sinking any chance it had at Oscar's glory.
Come on, I have Henry. Find me another male of the species who's more grown up than him.
Number 6. The Glass Castle.
Welcome to 93 Little Hobart Street.
The Academy often loves to reward films based on real people, especially when their story is as heart-wrenching as the memoir Jeanette Walls wrote about her childhood growing up in poverty with unstable parents. Add in Academy Award favorites Brie Larson, Naomi Watts, and Woody Harrelson, and the film seemed like a sure thing for Oscar nods. But while the movie received praise for the performances of Larson and Harrelson, many critics thought the film's sanitized version of the events and general deviation from the book was unsatisfying, which probably explains the strong performances being overlooked.
When did you lose your sense of adventure?
Number 5. Wonderstruck.
Was my dad an astronomer?
Another time, okay?
Todd Haynes is a director's director who Hollywood admires, but his movies are often too weird to compete in the big race. It seemed like Wonderstruck could finally be his golden ticket. Based on a children's book of the same name, the film tells the story of two kids, one in 1927 and the other in 1977, as a double period piece with a 1927 storyline shot in black and white. It seemed like the kind of technical achievement the Academy rewards. Great performances from powerhouses Julianne Moore and Michelle Williams made it a shoo-in, right? But the movie came and went with little fanfare. As screenwriter William Goldman once noted to Hollywood, nobody knows anything.
How do you know my name?
Number 4. Wonder Wheel.
Excuse me, do you have Jenny's here?
I'm Jenny.
In the face of the negative social feedback actors are starting to face for working with Woody Allen, it makes perfect sense that the Academy might want to stay away from him. And also, maybe it just wasn't that good. With a Rotten Tomatoes score in the low 30s, the general consensus was that despite the casting of good actors like Oscar winner Kate Winslet and Jim Belushi in a fun period setting, the film didn't capture the same magic as Allen's last Oscar-winning movie, Blue Jasmine. Many felt the movie's plot didn't amount to much of anything. And, While it looked great, it was altogether pretty forgettable.
Don't you think you're being a little melodramatic?
Number 3, The Greatest Showman.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
Oscar voters generally love movies that shed light on complicated historical figures, but The Greatest Showman did not go that route with P.T. Barnum. The film capitalized on the success of La La Land, which won numerous Oscars, and also elected to tell a glossier version of the creation of the circus.
Girls, I think I've had an idea.
The music was written by the same composers of La La Land, and with the casting of Hugh Jackman and Zac Efron, they were signaling that this was going to be the next big musical. It did receive some love at the Golden Globes, but it just lacks heft.
Don't listen to them. They don't understand yet. But they will.
Number 2, Downsizing.
Are you ready, Doctor? Yes, I'm ready.
Director Alexander Payne is no stranger to the Oscars, so it's quite a surprise that this star-studded vehicle didn't make an impact at nominations time. With a stacked cast including Matt Damon, Kristen Wiig, Laura Dern, and Christoph Waltz, and high-concept social satire about shrinking humans, it seemed like a good bet. But the movie was pretty much dead on arrival, after the initial critic consensus seemed to be that it didn't deliver on its premise, and that the mixing of genres wasn't a success, in addition to some issues with the portrayal of non-white characters. Actress Hong Chau, at least, received a nomination at the Golden Globes.
Oh my God.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
You can't take a Muslim to Florence.
I can take a Muslim wherever I like.
Grateful to be your prisoner.
Number 1, Suburbicon.
Nikki, you need to get up. There are men in the house.
This was just not the year for any Matt Damon vehicle. Directed by George Clooney and based on a script originally written by the Coen brothers, Suburbicon had all the juice behind it to make it a contender. Add a cast that includes not only Damon, but Julianne Moore, again, and Oscar Isaac, and this should have been the movie to beat. But the film received savage reviews, with many ripping on Clooney's turn as director and co-writer, especially when it came to the all-over-the-place storyline and abrupt changes in tone. Name recognition only goes so far, and maybe more time should have been spent on making a better product.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out these other